Yo, 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 what's good, people?
Hey,
Welcome to another episode of Four Corners Legacy Podcast. I'm your host, Valley Uno.
and I miss my mind.
Giselle Washington.
Tusav Shakur.
All right.
And we are Four Corners Legacy.
How's everybody doing this morning?
Great.
I'm good. Thank you. How you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Yeah, looking forward to getting this one in. You know, this is one that, I think it's often talked about, but I just think that we had an opportunity to address it from from our own individual angle. So I'm looking forward to that. Yeah.
Okay. In a moment, I'm
Let's
going to
get it going then.
check
I'm
and
ready
make sure my destinations are where they need to be. Well,
That's what I'm trying to do right now.
and so you just hit more when you're trying to do that?
What's that?
You just click more when you're trying to do that?
I don't know what you mean.
He went to his obvious. I think he's.
I
talking
do
about
it. I do it from my Facebook.
right
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
because now you see it's running on the Facebook.
Okay. Can you go to my page? Because I'm on my phone, guys. Remember? So. Happy Sunday, everybody.
Let me see. If it's... Oh, okay. Yes, on my page too. Okay. Okay.
It's running.
Okay. Yes, on my page too. Okay. Okay.
Yeah. See, for some reason, it's not on mine. This is the thing that
That's
I don't
funny
understand.
how when you have two TVs on, one echoes like they're not. They run behind each other. They're not the same.
Okay. It just was.
You
It
check
was late.
Turn your volume down.
No, I'm not even on my phone. I went on my phone to see if it was on Facebook.
Right, but you turn your volume down.
Okay.
Okay. Now we good to go.
We good?
Yeah. I got to figure out why it's asking me to do that every single episode. I went in on my Facebook and adjusted my privacy settings and all that.
All I can do is hope that it's on mine, because at this point I have no way of checking, and I'm just gonna roll with it. So.
I just told you it was on there.
Oh, good. Okay. All right. So today is the big day, the moment we've all been waiting for. Men and women. Who really are they?
I'm the man, baby. I'm a grown man, baby.
Oh, man. It's crazy.
This is one of the big debates we have had as a family back and forth for quite some time.
Yeah, no doubt. And not really coming to a general consensus, but I think that's fair to be said with anybody who discusses this on any platform. It's just one of those topics that it's difficult to arrive at, a united way of thinking. And I think that's the reason why it's so important to continue the discussion,
I agree.
Yeah.
So that we can hopefully find a middle ground.
Right.
It's 100-0 is the only compromise.
It seems like that at times, that like we know we live in a patriarchal society, and for long periods of time, women have felt like that they've been held back or ignored in various different ways. And the reality is there's some truth to that. And so that's how we've kind of arrived where we are right now, where there's this competitive spirit between men and women, when really I don't think it's supposed to be a competition. It's supposed to be, an aim to work together in unison. And that's what's missing across the board is the mindset that's required to reach that goal. But I think what's important about that, before we can even arrive at a place to be able to do that, on each side of the coin, we have to be fully aware of who we are as individual men and or women, because that's the only way we can bring our individual, our expertise to the table to find that unison. You know what I mean? It's we got to be on point on our own side of the coin. You know what I mean?
I agree.
Well, and the thing is, people are continuously growing. So who they are or who they start out to be in relationships, they may develop into something else. So that's you're constantly evolving, but it shouldn't sway you so far to the left or to the right that you can't communicate with the opposite sex, because together is where we pack a mighty blow. It has to be some unity. We have to work together.
That's what I meant when I said about working on the individual first. You know, you got to be centered within yourself first. That's what will prevent that swaying too far in either direction that you're talking about. Am I centered as an individual? Am I centered as a man? Do I have a identity or an actual idea of what masculinity, manhood looks like for me, or, you know, for those coming up underneath me, that I can share with them to help them become centered? That should be the focal point first and foremost on either side of the coin, in my opinion.
Yeah,
because when it comes off like people think that they're perfect. You know, the argument sounds like one perfect person criticizing an imperfect person. You know what I'm saying? Because basically what I hear all the time between men and women is, if one person covers 100% of the shit, then it'll be all right. For like, if men didn't cheat, cheating wouldn't exist. You know, and we already know that that's not true.
that's not
Well,
true.
the argument usually stops because when someone has sex, when they're upset about something, they usually say, you started out with you instead of I don't like this, or I prefer if you didn't do. It's always pointing the finger at the person first instead of reflecting it onto yourself of what you don't like that person does to you.
Right. Well, it's like
it takes practice to get there too. You know,
Right,
to say, when this happens, I feel this way, instead of saying when you do. You know, it's real easy to have the layout, but to put that into practice when you're on the receiving end of something that was an emotional trigger for you, it's not as easy to do it. So we got to be mindful of that day in and day out. That's what I meant about being centered as individuals, you know? Yeah.
Well, you know, if people have, in a relationship, you're supposed to have respect first and foremost. I think respect is first and foremost. And then trust and communication are the top three in my book. And if you have those three, then you should be able to tell that person how you feel.
I think that has to be expressed and when you say relationships, we have to be understanding that it's all relationships you have with your peers, relationships you have with friends, relationships you have with your family. All those relationships have to, you have to take that same aspect into it for it to work. You know, and it's important to have those type of things. You got to have relationships, good relationships with people overall. So that's the ultimate goal. But again, like Valerie said, you have to be centered to do that. And sometimes in this crazy world we live in, it's hard to be centered.
Well, you hit it on the head, basically, because that's where everybody's going wrong. They think a relationship with a girlfriend, boyfriend, spouse is different than a relationship with brother, sister, mother, father. It's all the same. You know what I'm saying? It's not some different shit. This is the same things that make those other relationships work. You have to do that in girlfriend, boyfriend, spouse relationships as well.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
So what are some key points in making sure that that happens? How would you help someone to try to identify with that problem?
I think so. I read this book called Safe People, and it's basically highlighting behaviors and characteristics of people that would be unsafe for you in a healthy relationship, whether it be a friend or romantic relationship, family member, whatever. But the interesting part about the book is as you get deeper into it, it becomes a mirror versus a lens. Instead of you looking at the unsafe behaviors and characteristics of other people, it forces you to look at yourself and be like, damn, I'm unsafe in this regard and that regard. And you know what I mean? So I think the key point to highlight is, you got to get on your Michael Jackson and start with the man in the mirror,
That is
and
definitely.
I think that's something that we all understand the concept of, but is we real enough to go ahead and do that is a whole nother question. You know what I mean?
Well, it's actually where the dirty work begins, because once we start looking, it's easy to point out what everyone else needs to do. And I'm speaking from a personal level here. Like, it's dealing with me, I'm a handful. And some of the issues that I have, I don't always want to deal with them head on. But when you see, like you said, the number one thing is if you see something in somebody and you're like, ooh, I can't stand when somebody does that. Do you possess that characteristic?
More than likely you do, because our interactions with people are like a mirror. So more than likely you do. And without you even knowing it, that person has triggered something that you battled internally. And that's why it bothered you to the degree it did. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's a unisex trait. That's not something that's more particular in a man than it is in a woman or vice versa. We all have triggers, and we gotta, that's what I meant about that, starting with yourself, looking in the mirror. We got to be real with ourselves and admit to our flaws, our weaknesses, and use our strengths and ability to try to correct those things.
We also have to determine what our relationship, the person that you're having a relationship with, what is it there? If because there's five different types of relationships. There's infatuations, there's friendships, there's love, empty love, there's romantic love, and then there's communal love. And your spouse is your communal love supposed to be, and which is passion, intimacy, and commitment. And infatuation is just passion. That's just what you get from the person. And friendship, that's an intimate level, because they feel you. That's your friend. Then empty love is just someone who you just have relations with, And then there's a romantic love, which is passion and intimacy, but there's no commitment in it. And you got to figure out where that person lies with you. And if it's just your friend, then you need to have a talk with your friend or your family and tell them, that really hurt my feelings when you did that, or when you do that to me, that hurts my feelings.
But I think that's the important part when we're talking about triggers. Have we had a conversation with ourselves first to even understand why it hurt your feelings? Okay, I didn't like the way that felt, but when I had that feeling, what did it really do to me? What was my thought process associated with? We should have did all that before we even
make me want to take my hands and put them around your neck.
No. Here's the point though. Just because you felt like it hurt your feelings or made you feel embarrassed or resentful, it doesn't mean that the person was wrong. And that's where everybody goes wrong at, because they think just because they receive something a certain way that somebody has wronged them. But if it's dead, real, truth ass shit, how is that person wrong?
Right. Yeah, because it might just be the way we respond to something that somebody says, and when I say respond, I mean internally. What's our internal response to what's being said?
It's also the way it's being said to you, also, though.
Again,
Yeah.
you have to wrap
Nobody's
around yourself. It's about yourself, because if we're going to say we need to use I statements, or because you just said it, it's like, well, what I heard you say. So then again, it goes right back to, well, why did I process it that way? And again, why does that trigger me in such a way? So it does it's about self. It's about self.
Yeah, because you can't tell nobody else how to talk or express themselves.
Right.
More importantly, when we talk about my feelings is heard, whose feelings are they? They're mine. Whose responsibility is it to manage those? Mine.
Yeah.
You know, and so when we say, oh, you hurt my feelings, and we act the ass in response to that, we're basically shirking our responsibility to manage our own emotions and throwing it on somebody else. You know what I mean? That's what I meant when I said you have to go through all the process in your own mind before you even address this with somebody, with the person who hurt your feelings. You know what I mean? You got to go through the whole process in your own mind. And sometimes you'll arrive at a place where you say, well, damn, okay, even after all of that, I don't think it needs to be addressed because I understand what really took place. I was triggered because what he or she said it triggered something that's connected to an emotional memory from somebody other than them. You know, it's something I still ain't worked out or buried or cleaned up over here. And I'm trying to address that with this person when all they did was trigger something that has nothing to do with them. You see what I mean?
I get it.
Yeah.
And I gotta reiterate is like people come off like they perfect. You feel what I'm saying? And you can't expect. That's why they tell you to have no expectations, because when you expect something, you're basically setting yourself up for disappointment. You know what I'm saying? How is somebody going to live up to your expectations? You know, basically, that's not like logical type of thinking. You know, that you expect another human being to live up to all of your expectations. That's putting too much on somebody.
Right. So then it goes back to you removing yourself from those kinds of things. It's easier to remove yourself from a situation than it is for you to expect somebody to change.
But why does somebody have to change? They're who
They
they are.
They don't have to. It just is like you should just find more like-minded people. And
exactly.
That's
exactly. And that's what it comes down to. But we shouldn't have to view moving away from somebody in a relationship as a bad thing. If you address it respectfully and with consideration for the other person, then is it necessarily, oh, I'm getting away from you because you're bad for me? No, that you and I, for whatever reason, we don't bring out the best in each other. We seem to bring out the worst. And maybe it's all internal on my end as well as yours. Right. So can we get back to the drawing board? Meaning I turn around doing a about face and go get with self. You know what I mean?
And then a lot of times if that happens, then people don't have to end up in all these domestic situations or, you know, family feuds where they don't speak. If you literally have agreed that like a person is not bringing out the best in you, or this doesn't work for you, you don't have to have the hate that goes behind it. It's not a bad term. You know what I mean? You don't wish the person any harm. Hey, I don't wish you no harm. It's just this doesn't work the way it needed to. I think if we remove that, it'd be a lot less hate in the world also.
Well, that's why owning your own feelings is a big deal, because oftentimes what prevents us from doing that is we worried about how it's going to make this person feel, you know, where it really takes a measure of courage to say, even though I know this probably ain't going to feel good, out of respect for you, I'm going to be honest with you. You know what I mean? Because when you already got a rift between you and a person, and then you tell a lie just because you don't want to do what it takes to be truthful, now you add an insult to the injury. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, and that's where the problems usually stem from. People refusing to be honest about how they feel.
And so that's what I was going to encourage people when people say, you know, and you hear it's a cliche for everybody to say, I can handle the truth, right? But
Right.
then when someone says the truth, whatever it may be, and again, this is in all aspects of relationship, not just any man and woman relationship of marriage, but I'm saying in interactions, period. If people tell you the truth about their interpretation of it or whatever how their involvement is, you got to respect it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, everybody says they can handle the truth, but then when the truth comes out, they're hella mad about it.
Right. And that's the setup factor. Like, don't set me up to keep it 100 with you, and then you get angry.
Yeah,
You know. But
that's
again, that's easier said than done. That's why we have to be centered as individuals. Because just think, if you're a man who's been with somebody for any length of time, and problem arises, there's the connectivity is off, and you say, just tell me what's going on. Be honest with me. And then she turn around and say, I'm no longer sexually attracted to you. You didn't see that. You didn't see that coming, but nonetheless, you told them to be honest.
That's right.
So you got to take that on the chin, you know.
That's like
you handle the truth. Yeah, nobody.
Right.
That's like if you ask your husband, "Do I look fat in this dress?" and he says, "Hell yeah, you look fat than the motherfucker."
Well, the response is, "Look." What you mean, look?
And the thing about it is, if you really look at the big picture of it, I think that people, just like how we laughed about that, a person, I be wanting an honest opinion about a lot of stuff, and then I have found situations where I'm like, you know, and like what's told, but it helps you in the end to try to figure out if you're okay with that defect, or if there are some things about yourself you want to get right with.
Yeah.
Because how are you going to change something if you don't see an issue in the first place? It's everybody wants to mold somebody to fit them versus be the vice. You know, instead of saying, you know what, maybe if I'm more agreeable, my relationships will be different. Instead of saying that everybody has to form around who I am.
Right.
And who you are as a character. If you have to change everything about yourself to be with me, but I'm not going to change anything about me to be with you.
When we were having our conversation, our little pregame earlier this week, when we were talking about searching for, you know, the kind of partners that we pick, or I think that's important, that what you just said, these, like, you know, we have to try to search ourselves first, make sure that we are being real with the uglies, because everybody's got some uglies about them. And then when you find out, your thought process changes on the type of people that you're actually allowing to have some of your time. And then the picking is better because the ones you having quality connections at that point.
Well, see, what it is we all want to be able to take part in the, you know, I guess the experience of relationships, but it's like when we step out into the world, just think of it like we going to the grocery store. We got money in our pocket. You know what I mean? We could go in here, or not a grocery store, just any place where you can purchase items. We got money in our pocket. We can afford to buy these things. However, we ain't got no safe place to take it back to. Do you understand what I'm saying? So when you look at that in relationship world, yeah, I can go out here and get with this person, but I ain't got no safe place to bring them back to because I ain't finished my assignment within myself. You know what I mean? But we'll selfishly go ahead and make that purchase anyway to satisfy our own desires. And that says something about you as an individual. You know what I mean? It goes right back to looking at yourself in the mirror.
But that's how our culture is, though. That's how the American culture is impulsive type things like that. You know what I'm saying? And you know, like I just said a few minutes ago, people think, well, I'll make this person fit me, basically. You know what I'm saying? Okay, this even though I know this person's this way and I don't like that, but I expect them to change anyway. You know what I'm saying, or something like that. Because
and people think also that, oh well, if it's men woman relationship, oh, if I make that person feel good, then they'll want me too, and that's not how it is either.
Right.
Or we'll ignore things that we know are displeasing to us, that we know we don't accept. We'll ignore those things because whatever we get from this person, you know, as far as the physical feelings, we're damn near hooked. I don't want to let go of that because I don't know if I'm gonna get this somewhere else. So let me just accept all this other. Let me turn a blind eye to that. I'm not even gonna look at that because this other part is so good. And you know, am I gonna find that again? You know what I mean? Like we tell lies to ourselves.
If it's snoring or leaving socks on the floor, you should turn the blind eye to that.
Definitely.
Oh yeah, no.
Definitely.
We ain't talking about stuff like that. Yeah, because if you tripping off of that, then you failed the process of looking at the mirror, looking at yourself in the mirror, because we all doing something that somebody don't like.
Right.
You know.
No, nobody's perfect.
That out there because, and not to even say that those are like issues, but you will hear some people that are that nitpicky in relationships.
Yeah.
And that's
well, I threw that out there when we first talked about it, that I don't like having to clean up that type of stuff. But after so many years, that person should know that shit gets on your nerves, and they should be, out of respect, not want to do that. You agree or not?
Yeah.
Okay. What's up, Fee? Thanks for tapping in.
Hey.
It says a lot of women have a mindset of molding men to be the men they want, but you can't truly change a person. If they do not match you, then they are not for you.
And that's so true.
That's the long and short of it right there.
Yes,
you know what I mean? And again, like I said, it's selfish of us to try to do that molding work, because you're really only doing that because that's what you want. You're not even taking that other person into consideration, really.
Okay,
if they got to do all the changing.
Some molding does have to be done, though. It's just like if you start a business, you can't just expect the business to grow on its own. You're going to have to, advertise and promote and do certain things. So some aspect of molding a person has to actually take place, though.
Right, as long as it's in the molding of bringing out the best results.
Well, it's a double. You're both gonna do that. You're both making compromises. You're both accepting, and you get what I'm saying. It's not one-sided, so to speak.
Yeah.
Okay, in this relationship. Okay, so how do you feel about the bills and this, or how do you feel about laundry, or how do you feel about dishes, or how do you know what I'm saying? Somebody might have to change something that they're accustomed to in order to fit the relationship. You get what I'm saying? Like,
exactly.
Okay, I can't go in the gym 10 hours a day now because I'm in a relationship with somebody. So I might have to compromise on going to the gym so many times a week, or you get what I'm saying?
Right. But again, you hear what I'm saying when I say, as long as whatever the yielding or molding, should I say, if we're helping to mold something, we're bringing out the best in it. That's what I'm saying. So like, I don't think those kind of small sacrifices make a big deal, but when we're asking people to compromise who they truly are, then that's not a healthy relationship.
Right. I agree with you on that. It's molding that takes place. However, it's not a molding that causes a person to have to abandon, their true personal identity.
Yeah.
Like Sophia just said, I agree to the molding has to be unison and have become one sculpture.
Mm-hmm.
And where you guys moving like a wave in sync.
Yeah, because there's us as individuals, each party that's involved is individuals, and then there's our relationship, which would be the sculpture.
Right. Mm-hmm. And sometimes that molding isn't even verbal. It's just done through action.
Right.
Like, sometimes it might be somebody you work with that's, they have a method of how you do the same job they do, but they have a method of getting the work done that when you recognize it, it seems more efficient. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And so you follow that person's example. You've been molded without them even telling you, hey, you need to do it like this, you know? So part of that molding is on us to be observant enough to say, okay, the way this is being done by my partner is a more efficient way of doing things for the relationship. You know, we got to have, we got to take the I out of it sometimes. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
Stop
Molding-
wasting I.
And I'm glad you used work as an example too, because it's important to realize it's, that metaphor that you were coming with it at, because sometimes you don't got to tell a person, this is how you do it. This is what it, this is it. If you're leading by the proper example and it's bearing a positive result, what fool isn't going to want to jump on board?
Right. And then when they do jump on board, the person who led by example, not even trying to, but they
Right.
did, when that other person follows the example, do we give recognition for that? Do we recognize, oh, okay, I noticed that this, that, and the other, and as a result, our bond has been strengthened, our foundation has become stronger. Do we give recognition to that? Because that's going to motivate that person to keep their eye open, and it also forces us to keep our eye open for things that they might be doing that we could adjust to. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, they say that to have a healthy relationship, communication is key. And even if you are saying it not the way someone wants to hear it, you're still letting them know. You got to let the person know. And that's just all it is to it.
I don't necessarily believe in that tone of voice and it's the way you said it.
Mhm.
I think that's selfish. Like I said before, that's almost telling a motherfucker how to talk and act. And who are they going to be if they allow you to be like a mom to them and tell them how they should speak? Now, if they're not being disrespectful and they're just being honest, like we were talking about earlier, if they're just talking and being honest and not being disrespectful, then you have to take it at face value and put your emotions to the side about how you received it. Like Tavon was saying, you got to look in the mirror and question all that before you just jump on them because they said it in a tone that you didn't like, or it came off. It seemed like they were being forceful, because we all know that both your parents, I speak for me and Tavon directly. We already know, mama or pop will say some shit that'll make you feel this damn tone. But if it's right, it's right though. Like at the end of the day, it's like, damn, that's fucked up that we had to hear that way. But in order for me to grow, I got to say, you know what? I can't worry about how that person said that. That's some real ass shit they said.
Right. But then it kind of goes back to how we begin and it started about what triggers people. So something from somebody else's past relationships or interactions with people, those are the things. So a person may have a good delivery, but they might have said it in a way that triggered you back to, like he said, a whole nother time and place. So you never really grabbed the concept of what they were saying, because all you did was you didn't got triggered now because they were talking to you in a specific fashion. You might not have received what they actually said. So so sometimes we do want to make sure that we're using a proper way we're saying something. How are we we're addressing people? I have a problem, like at work, I'm very, very nice and kind because I get paid to do a job that requires me to have excellent customer service. In my interactions, my social skills outside of that, they leave a lot for the imagination. So that's something I personally am working on, but I see it. I realize it. I'm like, damn, it's the only way you're nice to people is if you get ready to do it. You got to be nice. And some things that I may not think are wrongfully said, or I didn't mean anything by it, the person who received it may, they didn't see it that way. So it's, again, we constantly in life, the best tool we have is to keep checking ourselves, reevaluating ourselves, and what are we doing? What area we need to improve?
Well,
I think
I know myself, not try, I'm gonna be a little personal. I know myself that I come I'm kind of hard around the edges a little bit. You guys know you're my siblings, so you know what I'm talking about. I'm kind of hard around the edges and rough, but at the same time, I still love and respect all y'all. I'm just a grumpy old man type of nigga. You know what I'm saying? So it's not really nothing personal. It's just, I'm a little bit grumpy. I'm kind of like Grumpy Smurf a little bit. You know what I'm saying? And that's
It's okay. It's okay because
nobody. That's just my character.
I think for me personally, I noticed that whenever I take time before I respond to something, my response is more favorable. It demonstrates more consideration for the other person. I think because our minds operate so fast, we're kind of used to we hear something, we respond before we've even stopped to, pause. If somebody say something to you, you don't have to respond immediately. You can pause 5 seconds and get your thoughts together. So that way, when you do respond, you've already put your tone and your message in check, so that it's not offensive to nobody.
I had wrote
what up, Woon?
I wrote that down because I think that was key. I was like, know when to speak, think before I speak, and remember my tone when I speak. And I had to write those down, because sometimes you don't need to speak. Mama always said, if you ain't got nothing nice to say, don't say nothing at all. So it is okay to take that moment before we jump out there. Okay. And so that's why I put know when to speak, think about what it is I'm trying to say, and remember my tone, because that's going to help me be received better.
Right.
And so this is just something I had told myself. I'm working on me, and because I want to have better interactions with people. But that's something I had to check myself on those things.
Yeah, I used to say, "Oh, I know. If you know, then you would not do it again." And that's what was told to me. Quit saying because you don't know, because you keep doing this shit.
So what about if we offend our spouse and we apologize, and then we continue to demonstrate the same shit that we didn't already apologize for 2 more times after that?
Apology is changed behavior.
That's where I was going with it. I think the best apology is changed behavior, because that's the only way you can really stand behind your apology, is that I see that this was wrong, and I'm gonna do what I can to not do it no more. You know what I mean? Yeah. Right.
And then another thing you have to do in relationships is you have to be able to weigh your scales of justice out and say, okay, would I be able to handle this, or how would I feel if they done this to me? What I'm about to do to them, how would I feel if they did it to me?
You have to set boundaries. You have to go over the boundaries of what not to do and what they can get away with, or don't go there, or you have to just set boundaries. That's just it.
But those boundaries have to be realistic.
They have to be realistic, but the boundaries really, again, everything coming full circle goes back to yourself, because you can set boundaries and you say, oh, I'm not going to tolerate this, I'm not going to let it, and then it keeps on happening. Then where's your boundary? How much am I going to take of this bull? That everything goes back to self, and how much time we allot for anything that's draining us, whether it be work related, in a relationship related, whatever interaction, it has to be self. Check yourself and what you're gonna tolerate. And so in keeping on, we're talking about men and women. Where's the huge difference? Because as we're talking about it right now, it seems like we're all on the same page, but there's a divide somewhere.
I spoke on that earlier. Here's the divide. A woman will say, I want a man that provides for me, takes care of me, opens doors for me, protects me, this and this and that. We all know all the cliche things that women say, right? And then on the flip side, a man will say, I want a woman that cooks, cleans, and stuff like that. And females tend to not want to give what men want, but want what they want still in an unfair exchange. You know what I'm saying? And that's where the rift is, because men are like, hold on, wait. We're willing to be traditional. We're willing to take care of you. We're willing to open the door for you. We're willing to do all these things. And you're going to post on Instagram that you're not willing to cook for me?
That's some.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, we're not going to start that's some though.
Because
so
we know that already. You know?
Yeah. So I looked up this information, and I was saying, well, what are the, because if we're talking about men, women, who we really are, what are the traits that women naturally have, and some traits that men naturally have? So it says, men traditionally are viewed in society as have strength, courage, independence, leadership, and assertiveness.
Mm-hmm.
Women have nurturance, sensitivity, sweetness, gentleness, passivity, cooperativeness, and humility, empathy. So the lists appear to go on and on for what society believes is traits of women. And so do you guys agree or disagree with that?
I think cooperativeness shouldn't even be the fuck up there. That shouldn't be up there.
It shouldn't be up there for who?
For women.
For women. Well, and so here's the funny part, because it went on. I stopped at that point because I said, you guys was going to say this is a crock of shit, right? Because again, for a man, they just said strength, courage, independence, leadership, and assertiveness. Now, for a woman, it says nurturance, sensitivity, sweetness, supportiveness, gentleness, warmth, passivity. I can't even say the word. I even know I ain't passive.
Passive shouldn't be up there either.
Cooperativeness, expressiveness, modesty, humility, empathy, affection, tenderness, being emotional, kind, helpful, devoted, understanding. And I was like, whoa.
So look at this though. Let's turn it on its head, because this goes right back to, are we giving the opposite side consideration? We could say, oh my goodness, look at all the stuff that women, the traits that women are supposed to characterize. That seems like a lot. Or we could say, damn, these are the only traits that the world thinks that men are capable of. We could look at it like we're not even being given full consideration, because we're getting put into a box of 4 different traits. We just some simple robotic ass dudes. So it depends on how you look at it.
Right. So for once, I actually had an insight of the things that you guys have been saying to me over and over and over in conversation. When I read it in that context, I was like, ain't no way that's all they are. You know what I mean? Like that. But and so that was the thing, because it's like, this is traditional traits viewed in the masculine society, of men, for men. Mm-hmm. And I was like, dang, that it can go both ways. Because then I'm like, well, we know as a woman, some of that, I didn't possess some of them qualities on there.
Yeah.
And I was
ain't no woman gonna put passive down. Ain't no woman.
There's some that would. There's some that would, because a lot of them are that way in order to avoid conflict. So
okay, on that aspect, being the weaker physical sex, there would be passiveness. But I think that's probably the only reason why it's passiveness.
So
if women could kick our asses, they'd never be passive.
Well, no, you're right about that. That's why men are not typically passive with other men. Because we got the mindset of we're gonna have to see about that.
So the rabbit hole runs deeper. So it's like, what about the brains? the brains of men and women, we discussed this in our call earlier this week. We know scientifically they say that the brain of a woman and a man are the same, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it said female brains are busier.
Yes.
In 70 of the regions tested, female brains show significantly more activity than male brains. And I said, could that be that because we're pondering on the wrong shit sometimes?
Yeah.
No, it's because we produce a creatine or something in our brain more than men, but our brains are the same, but I just read that, man.
I think that's a big enough contrast right there. Like, it's easy to say, oh, we're basically the same, but when the basic difference is the brain activity, that's the source of the contrast right there. We still we trying to figure this out. Why men and women think so differently? The way the wheels is spinning.
Exactly. And so and I had to tell that to myself, because I'm saying, okay, you've been avoiding this topic. You know, the bros want to get this out there. Let's do this. And so as I'm looking at all this stuff, I'm actually growing from this. So thanks, guys, because some of the research made me look and I was like.
But the difference is men have testosterone, women don't have testosterone. And that's what overtakes a man majority of the time. The testosterone. Well, you got two men.
Women are more social than men, and that's where a lot of that activity comes from as well, because they're pushing for some sort of social interaction, and that's why women's brains are busier, because women they don't want to idle. Men, we don't care about idling. We'll idle.
But see, so it says there, though, one of the out of the 5 characteristics, or excuse me, traits traditionally viewed for men, and I'm gonna say them again: strength, courage, independence, leadership, and assertiveness. The leadership and the assertiveness would indicate that they have more social skills, actually, because they're born leaders and they are assertive. Okay. They're going at,
I agree on that, because I'll say that women have better social skills amongst women, because we're kind of left on the outside as men. We don't really get to socially so much congregate with women. It's because it's kind of like women only want to be nice to people they can see themselves romantically involved with, or that's cute, or that's some, you get what I'm saying? Like a woman's not just going to walk up to the ugliest man in the building and say hi and shoot the shit with him about football or baseball or something like that. You get what I'm saying?
But that goes both ways. A guy's not going to walk in there if he's got all these girls who have BBLs. He's not going to walk into the ugliest girl in the room and start trying to talk to her.
He might.
Let's look at it like this. So, are we going to hold the door open for a woman that without looking at her ass as she walks by? You know what I mean? Like, this is what I meant when I said we got to check ourselves. You know what I mean? Because I think what he's getting at, there's some truth to that. If it depends on your locale, because when I was in the South, it was a little bit different. People generally speak to one another more often out there. Out here, if I'm passing another woman, a black woman, and I say hello, she's in her mind automatically thinking my hello is centered around me. It's not just me acknowledging her presence as a human being. And oftentimes it gets ignored. Or you'll hold the door for that woman and there's not even a thank you. You see what I mean? So I understand all those things are social interactions where there's failure on somebody's part.
I think so.
It's definitely, if somebody holds the door for you, and in return you couldn't even acknowledge it with a simple thank you.
That's horrible. That's horrible. And I wouldn't do that. Black, white, any nationality, male or female, anybody holding the door, is common courtesy. So I think that's another thing that we have to touch on at some point. I just think common sense ain't so common. You know, that's part of the problem too. People are ignorant out here. So
and they're not kind. People are not kind at all.
Gender based though. Is it based on one set? Or women is out here doing, or men? You know,
it goes both ways.
Yeah.
It goes both ways. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, because the flip side to that is some men won't even hold the door for you.
Not at all.
Are you only holding doors for women? When I went to the AMPM earlier, it's a dude walking and they're ahead of me. Him and his daughter. He had a little, a young girl with him. I brush up ahead, grab the door, and let them in. And he was like, "Oh, thank you." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like he was kind of surprised that it took place, but nonetheless, it's like it's situational. This dude with his daughter, I could see she kind of had his attention. Let me go ahead and get the door. You know what I mean?
That was so kind.
Human gesture. It's not necessarily related to you're the fair sex and you should never have to touch a door handle. It has nothing to do with that. It's if I'm in front of you and you less than 5 seconds behind me, I'm supposed to hold that door for you the way I look at shit. You know what I mean? I'm gonna hold the door.
Right. I'm gonna be an asshole real quick.
It was only a matter of time.
So let's go back to the holding the doors open for women. The only reason men ever held the doors open for women was to look at their ass when they walked.
I said that. Yeah. I said that.
That's cold-blooded right there. Okay. But I think it was funny too. One thing that Valley mentioned was geographically how different it is. I think that period, that whole thought process of holding the door, or all of that is even where you're at.
Right. Oh no, it is. It is, because just a simple hello in passing it's pretty much like the sun coming up when you're in the South. You can expect that to happen. You ain't got to question it. It's not like that out here. You know, people do say hello, but it is definitely not like that, like it is out that way.
Exactly.
The personal interactions are much stronger in that locale.
Basically, it's because it's a part of every day. People do it on a regular basis. So then it's passed down. Their kids see them doing this, so then they do it. It's just
it leads to upbringing, which I was gonna say, in relationship wise too, men, women, who they really are. Upbringing has a lot to determine of who we really are, because our mom taught us the difference between right and wrong.
Okay, I think that's important, because when I was reading that information about the men and women being basically the same, some of the differences that we see according to that research are differences that are instilled in people due to the social construct that they live in. What does society say is prescribed behavior for the man, and what's prescribed behavior for the woman? And that's where some of the expectations come from. I expect you, no matter what your day was, to do the cooking and the cleaning. I expect you, no matter what the circumstance was, to always put the toilet seat down. And if none of these things are done on either side of the spectrum, I'm a piss and moan about it. But the reality is, the only reason why you're upset with it is because you were taught that you should be. You know what I'm saying? Like, where did you really get that from? Mm-hmm. It was prescribed for you.
Well, it's true. Did any of you guys get a chance to look at the study American Psychological Association had up? I had put it in the informational system, but
I think that's the one we're talking about right now.
Right.
Yeah.
So one of the things it said in there said, in studies designed to eliminate gender norms, researchers demonstrated that gender roles and social context strongly determines a person's actions. For example, after participants in one experiment were told that they would be identified as male or female, nor did they wear any identification, non-conformed, or stereotypes about the sex given the chance to be aggressive. In fact, the opposite would be to expected. Women and men are aggressive, men are passive. So it flipped. And you see what I'm saying? So the very thing that they said in the other one about what gender is specificated, it flips depending on the scenario or where you're at. There are men who are passive.
It also depends on what part of the country, what if you're in the Northeast or the South. In the West, people are more not as courteous, but there is courteous people here. There's in the Midwest, there's people are courteous, but not courteous. It just all depends where everybody is different. That's why they can't really go by studies because nobody is the same.
Yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying, but I still think there was some truth to what it said in that research study about when they removed the gender titles. You can go in this room, you don't have to identify as male or female as far as behaviors and attributes, characteristics or whatever. You just interact with people. So what that does is it takes the pressure off of the men to always be I'm the strong man and I can handle anything that's in front of me. That's where it's like, man, I can go on vacation from manhood and just be passive for a while. Right. And women, I can go on vacation from womanhood and go be aggressive and assertive for a while. It was a break from the norm.
So you think if there was no faces on our pictures right now, and we all had that same little Charlie Brown voice, so we wouldn't know if it was man or woman, we would still have the same answers that we were having if we could see.
We'd have the same answers because we'd still be who we were. But
the way that people received it would be different because they wouldn't know what gender was connected to it.
Absolutely. Right. Yeah. Right.
Or how somebody looked. That's it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because apparently you have to be perfect to have an opinion in our society today. That's if you're a man. If you're a man, you got to be a Calvin Klein motherfucking model to say something.
That is so untrue.
You ain't the strongest thing in the world. Shut the fuck
up. No. There's some truth to that, but I think it comes down. I don't think that that's a gender thing. I think that that's on both sides of the line. However, fuck it, I'm gonna say it. I think women have proven to be in our society the leaders of shaming language. So they're more verbal, more vocal about, oh, well, you ain't this, that, and that. Men, we thinking the same shit, but we don't say it as often, or we don't say it as loud.
I'm gonna give you an example. It's just like if you're on social media, Instagram, Facebook, whatever, just social media, and you see a post and you chime in on your opinion, or because all these comment sections are meant for people to interact in the comments.
Right.
Or else everybody would be blocked and not be able to comment on each other's shit, right?
Exactly.
So this is how it's actually designed. But if you comment on somebody's comment, the first thing they go to is look at your page to see what you look like. They can personally attack your ass based on your comment.
Okay, I'm guilty of that. However,
I never do that.
I'm gonna tell you why I do it though. Every time I do that is because, man, that comment had a whole lot of fuel in it. So before I even exercise my mental attention to this comment, let me take a closer look at the source. Ooh, you busted. Ooh, you got that many kids, ain't no daddy around. I see why you angry. Hey, look, I see why you angry. I'm gonna just let you live in your anger. I'm not even gonna say nothing. So I'm guilty of that too. So I can't really
see that without looking at their shit. You can see that without looking at their page, though.
It gives you more context.
Well, it lets you know if you need to light a match or if you need to come with a flamethrower.
Right. Yeah. Hey, look, I ain't the only one. You know what I'm saying?
In order to comment on men and women's issues on social media, if you're a man, you got to be the finest, richest motherfucker in the world to comment on social issues between men and women.
But I'm gonna tell you the reason why, though. I'm gonna tell you the reason why it's like that is because more times than not, the women who are interacting on those posts and their comments are charged, they're already people that are drama queens. So you're basically jumping in a pit with people who have shown you, yeah, I'm with all the shit. And then you jump in there and thought they was going to be like, look at these cupcakes I baked. Can I rub your feet? you should have knew what was up before you jumped in there.
Yeah.
That's why I'd be like, let me take a closer look before I say something.
90% of my comments, Instagram will tell me, "Are you sure you want to post this?" I dash shit.
That's a hint for your ass right
I don't
there.
fuck
though,
around.
I mean,
I do
like-
not fuck around in them comment sections. I dash shit.
You already know you come with a Uzi, with a machine gun Uzi with an extra clip attached to the Uzi.
Yeah, I'm on the borderline of community standards every time I post some shit.
You
That's
know what?
crazy.
You know what I be trying to do? I be trying to be the contrast of what they're claiming all men are. I'm the proof that what you said is bullshit because of how I made my comment. That's what I do. I'm not even finna argue with you, you know, because
it ain't no argument.
you got a brain the size of a wasabi pea, so I'm
Right.
not finna match your
Right.
energy. We not
Right.
doing none of that, you know.
That's why it goes against community standard, because that's the type of shit I put in my comments. Motherfuckers got brains the size of wasabi peas.
Yeah, Sophia says some people get on social media, expect everyone going to agree with their opinion, and that's not how it is. Your opinion is like an asshole. Everybody's got them.
Everybody has one.
And here's the thing. If it's your opinion, you should be so firm in it that if the whole entire rest of the world didn't agree with it, at the end of the day, I'm living in my own reality. If my reality blends well with other people's today, cool. But if it doesn't, cool. Because tomorrow I might blend with everybody and it's only one person that disagrees with me. It's an experience. You take it for what it is and you do it moving, chin up with a big bright smile on your face because it's still my opinion and you still can't change it. You know?
Right.
They were calling me
So
racist.
how big
Shit.
How
I'm
big
like,
of a
damn.
part does each person's individual personality plays? We just went over that last week with the TV and social media and stuff like that. Your personality plays a part in all your interactions, whether it be on social media, whether it be who you really are. So that's one of the other things that I wanted to get into a little bit about the personality and your characteristics and your behaviors. They determine how much you adjust to life and how, and where you're at in life. And so that's what I was just thinking of when you said the social media stuff. Is like,
Go ahead.
I really don't get into people's comments and say negative stuff, but that's just a personality trait, but I be in the comments laughing at some of the shit people say all the time, but I'm not out there throwing negative comments, but some people, that's their whole day's work. They got to be out there trolling, trying to find something to say.
That's where it comes back to that's their character. Remember how I asked you guys before, what's your character? If someone says, "Oh, that's just how they are. That's just their character."
Oh, okay, my bad. I didn't know you was trying to highlight that. I thought that was a bar right there. Personality creates your algorithm on and offline. Your inner reality creates the outer form. So the shit you're experiencing, it's always a mirror. You understand what I'm saying? Like, it's always a mirror. It comes from within because everything is energy.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I agree when he said it's an algorithm on or offline.
Absolutely.
On or off. Whether you're online or whether you're in the real world, your personality is creating some stuff around you. You're determining your own state, your characteristics, your behaviors. It's going to compromise. That's either going to compromise or complement you.
Yeah, you're the creator and controller of your own reality to a reasonable extent. There's some shit that you just can't control, but to a reasonable extent, the interactions you have with people are up to you. You know what I mean? Like, and that's that algorithm he's talking about. What is your internal energy? Because are you gonna attract shit that's gonna make your day brighter, or are you gonna attract shit that's gonna bring the storm clouds? You know what I mean?
Right.
And if you're attracting more storm clouds, then you probably got a tsunami going on in your heart. It's just the shit we got to be real with ourselves about. If I'm going through life and everything that I'm doing, nothing is working out like I want it to. Okay, I need to pause and take a look within, because I might not have noticed how fucked up I've been over the past couple of days. Let me go on ahead and readjust. you know.
So, as parents of young children, boys and girls that are growing up in today's modern society, um, do we have any say in what they deem relationships should be, and who should do what, and how things should be handled in today's relationships? As parents and grandparents, do we have anything to say, or should we just sit back and be quiet?
I think we lead by example.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We got to lead by example, and sometimes that's hard to do because again, we're constantly trying to figure this shit out.
So,
You know?
oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. My bad.
No, go ahead. I'm listening.
There's a reason why, I was trying to get what they call that shit subliminal with the yin yang background, because when we was looking up all this stuff about men and women, feminine, masculine, it made me think of the yin yang symbol, and so I went ahead and looked up what that's defined as, and it said that it's two complementary principles of Chinese philosophy. Yin is negative, dark, and feminine. Yang is positive, bright, and masculine. Their interaction is thought to maintain the harmony of the universe and to influence everything within it. So when I looked at that, it goes right back to what we're talking about. It's duality in everything. You understand what I'm saying? So we're supposed to be trying to find the harmony within the energy that comes from the opposite sex. But we can't do that if we're not in harmony internally. We have to understand that men and women both possess feminine and masculine energy, first of all. So that's where it's not really a big difference. Like that article said, there's no big difference. It's the amount of masculine energy that's being applied in any circumstance. Is that what's going to be effective for that feminine energy to keep that harmony going? So sometimes the man does have to be passive. Sometimes he does have to be submissive to some degree or another. If you're submitting it for the purpose of maintaining the harmony, that you should be willing to do that.
Right. Because you're in the worst, in submitting, you're not submitting to a person, you're submitting to any negative energy around you. Look at it that way, And if you're preventing an argument, it's not about it's submitting with a greater cause. And that it's one of the things that I have read in there. It was saying personality helps determine, your behavior. So if we keep on saying that, then we know we can always fix what's wrong with us. There's always a way to change. You got to want to grow. It's not necessarily based on men or women. It's individual.
Mm-hmm. You have to recognize also that that trait is bad, and because some people don't recognize the trait that's bad and be like, it's not me, or I don't see what's wrong with that. And if you're constantly being told, well, no, that's fucked up, that's really fucked up, then the person should take heed to it. But some people don't.
Well, what about
you don't want to be two magnets? You don't want to. It's like two magnets don't come together because they got a force field built up, and they're like trying to come together, but it's never going to come together because they're both pushing at so much force to be who they want to be.
Right. But you shouldn't wait for somebody to tell you. It shouldn't boil down to I'm not going to change until 1,000 people tell me that I'm a fucked up bitch. No, I'm gotta want to change myself.
You're right.
I gotta look inside. I can't be waiting for someone. And it may take you arguing with 10 people in one day, and you be like, God damn, I argued with 10 people. That's not normal. Right. I gotta fix something.
Right.
Yeah, you know fucking problem for sure.
Right.
That's what I meant when I said, maybe I've been overlooking myself over the past few days.
Right. And so, but here's the flip side of that is that without those 10 arguments, you might have got along with 10 people that day. You might have been around 10 people who wanted to kiss your ass because you had something that they wanted, or they're wrong you for the wrong reason. So they never pointed out the bad thing about you. That's why it's so important to know self.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's manipulation. When people do that, of course, people are going to kiss your ass if they think they can get something in return. Hey man, you think I was rude to that guy at the store back there? Hell no, you told that motherfucker how it was.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And, you know, and even though they know that nigga was dead wrong.
Exactly. Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
It's good to have accountability partners or people in your life. You can't be around a bunch of yes men or people who don't hold themselves to a higher echelon.
I wanted
Who wants
to
be around the pump?
highlight this one because I think there was some context that we can kind of bounce off with this right here. It says in society, the media pushes for the man to be effeminate and the woman to be more masculine. What y'all take on that?
I would
Well,
have to
I'm-
agree to a certain extent, definitely.
I went to me.
Because they call it toxic masculinity. That's the only term for masculinity now.
Okay. So
I think that for a long time they wanted to push like with Charlie's Angels and strong, you know, back all the way. Women are strong. There was a fine line from women empowerment to that push of women to be more masculine. You know what I mean? So there's a fine line. I think that has to be drawn. Like it's okay to be strong and independent, but you don't have to be masculine. You get what I'm saying?
But
Right.
it just depends again on the person because some men may like a woman that's masculine but feminine still, and some women might like a man that's feminine but still masculine. It just depends on the person.
Well, obviously, if your woman is more masculine, then you can be a rougher version of yourself with that woman. So that's why men are attracted to that because they can say, "Oh, fuck you, motherfucker," or kind of like jive with a woman the way they jive with men and not get that crushed response. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, because I feel you on that because sometimes, you know, you just shoot from the hip with your lady. And I would never want to be involved with somebody that I can't never be me and be like, man, go on with that shit. Or, you know what? Or playfully shut your ass up. You know, if I can't do that ever without you being, how dare you speak to my queenliness? I'm cool. You know, I'm cool. I'm cool. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You
Well,
gotta be able to play a little bit, you know, without it being taken as an attack, you know.
They're like, shut the fuck up. God damn.
I agree.
Yeah.
But
So-
you know, sometimes
so
we get
I wanted-
used to that.
I wanted to bounce on that though. The reason why I highlighted that, because what I was thinking about, where it's saying society is pushing for men to be more feminine and women to be more masculine. I think because we know that we both carry both energies. So I carry feminine and masculine energy, and so does everybody else on this panel. Okay, so if based on the social construct as a man, you're being pushed to always demonstrate your masculinity, and that feminine energy is being suppressed. Vice versa, women are always being pushed to demonstrate their femininity, and that masculine energy is being suppressed. So it's like a spring. At some point, that it's going to get released, and then it flies off the handle. And that's what we're seeing right now. You know what I mean? Like dudes that is taking a different stance, and women that's taking a different stance, because there's been a push for one and a suppression of the other, when it really has to be about balance internally.
Right.
You understand what I'm
I
saying?
agree with that.
Just like I said earlier, even though I used a different type of example, I said if men stopped cheating, there would be no cheating. You know what I'm saying? Like that's the type of balance. That has no balance at all.
Right.
As people, both people have to check what's wrong.
Right.
It is no only one motherfucker check themselves and that's gonna fix it. Because hey, don't lie to me, but I'm gonna lie my motherfucking ass off to you.
Hey, look!
Right,
I seen an Instagram post that it had me dying. The dude was like, "Women always talking about why do men cheat, but 80% of the men on Maury was not the father." You know, that's why when I hear that question, it's like, come on, man, we got to talk about something else, because to me it's charged with sexism, because it basically claims that only men do that, and we know that's
No,
not the case.
because
Like, you know, how are we even asking why do men cheat when we're not the ones
proper
we're not the
question
only ones
is-
doing
The
it?
scales are almost balanced because
No,
it's
right.
25%
Why
of
do
men,
people
15% women. That's pretty damn close to me.
Yeah.
No, the proper question is why do people cheat?
Exactly.
Right. Exactly. Yes.
Yeah, and the reason, number one reason why is because they got an internal hole, an internal void that they have yet to fill, and they are attempting to fill it with a relationship with a particular individual until they come to realize that no, that hole is still there. Either they're going to give the attention to it to figure out what the void is and actually fill it with something favorable, or they're going to continue to do the same dumb shit.
It could be as simple as greed, though.
It could be. Greed
Sometimes it
big.
is that. Sometimes it is that.
Or being unsatisfied and insatiable. You get what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Fuck it, I'm never satisfied.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they say a person becomes infidel. It's infidel. Infidelity comes from their spouse may not being what they are. They're not attracted to them anymore. Their weight might be too big, or they might their financial might not be what they want, or you know, they lack intimacy, or just there's different reasons why people are infidel.
But
why not just break up? Why not just
that's
break
what I was
up?
just going to say. That's what makes it wrong. It's
Yeah.
because if it's that, if you're like, this a broke motherfucker, I can't fuck with him, then
Right.
break up with his broke ass immediately.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know why? Because people be looking at it like a job. Well, I can't quit this job till I get another one.
Right.
That's bullshit.
Right.
That's bullshit.
That's exactly what it is.
And that's not a good reason. That's not a good reason to stay involved in something that you're not happy in. Because no matter what, it's going to bleed into your personality and your behavior.
Mm-hmm. 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 Yeah.
Yeah. So why do people cheat is the proper expression. We just gonna leave it at that on that. You know, any of that other shit where you're pointing the finger at somebody else, you know, hey, why do men fart?
Well, look.
Same reason women fart.
Here's the even bigger kicker. The only person who should ever ask the question, period, is somebody that never cheated.
Right.
It would be like a gangster running around like, why do niggas shoot niggas?
Or why do
come on, bro? Like
gangbanger asking, why do motherfuckers gangbang?
Exactly. Come on, man.
So what is the advice that you would have for men, you guys, for the men on the panel and for sis? What advice do you have to your own sex that we should take as a takeaway? What are the takeaways to make better interactions between the two?
For me, I would say it starts, like I said, been saying throughout the show, it starts with self. You know, you have to really take a deep look at yourself, and being able to do so without applying all the shit that comes from society telling you how to be a man. You know, you gotta kind of get back to who you were before the innocence was lost, before that imprint was on your mind. When I was a 6-7-year-old kid, what made me feel good? What was my passion about? What did I dream about doing? You go get with your inner child and you build from there. You know what I mean? And what works for your inner soul, then you build around that. And that's what's going to help us to be more centered as men. And if we were more centered as men, a lot of the stuff that women are asking for from us would fall by the wayside, because we'd be at the peak. We'd be at the full potential of our masculine energy, which is actually what they're attracted to. You understand what I'm saying?
It's funny that you said that, because that's what I was saying. One of the things I was going to say to women, be yourself, find confidence in your authentic being. If you don't know who you are, learn yourself. Reevaluate and admit that you don't know everything. Admit to being confused. Admit if you need guidance, and use tools to grow into the better version of yourself.
Okay, so
click your heels and go back home. I'm digging that, you know, because it's kind of the whole story of the Wizard of Oz. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's about you at the end of the day. You know what I mean? And I think that's the part that most of us as people refuse to take into account. You know, we are responsible for our own lives, our own personality, our own energy, and too often we want to put that on somebody else. But it's our workload, and we got to do it. We got to knock it out.
Okay,
Well,
so to answer your question, because you asked me a question and then you didn't give me a chance to respond.
Oh, please
My
respond.
bad. Oh, you talking to my? Okay.
You didn't give me a chance to respond. You said you asked us both, and then okay, but I think mine is similar to Tavon's. It's just going to be worded different, maybe. I just think that men should not worry about what women think, or understand that they have to live their lives for the same way that a woman lives her life for womanhood and womanhood only. A man has to understand that he's a person too, and things that are important to him matter just as much as what's important to the opposite sex. And so you can't get caught up in trying to please somebody, living your life to try to please somebody else. You know what I'm saying? You gotta find what pleases you and be completely grounded on who you are and what you are. And whoever's willing to accept that, then that's that. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I always say, people say, you know, you're so pretty, you're so pretty, you're so pretty. I say, I'm more than just a pretty face. My beauty comes from the inside out. But some of the relationships I had haven't displayed that. So it made me you have to go back inward. It is inward.
Yeah,
And that's
no doubt.
that's a valid thing.
Learn yourself before you give yourself. That's what I meant. Like when I was saying we get into these relationships trying to give something that we don't even know yet.
Yeah.
I can't give you the best of me when I don't even know what that is yet, and that's just reality. I think, there's far too many people that are guilty of that, but it's what it comes down to. We have to do better as individuals, whether that be man or woman. We got to do better as individuals.
I think that people are going about it wrong because for some reason it seems like in our society they think that the younger you start being involved with the opposite sex, the more traction and experience you gain for in that arena. But if you're not old enough to understand the opposite sex, like it seems like how can a young person master relationships when older people aren't mastering them?
Right. No, I agree with you on that. I don't think it ain't even about no moral standards or nothing like that. I don't think young people should be involved in relationships because, again, like the comment Sophia put up, you got to learn yourself before you give yourself. And when you're a teenager, your hormones, your emotions, your thoughts are all over the place. How the hell you gonna lock down something solid with somebody and you ain't even figured out who the hell you are, what you want in life,
as a career or nothing?
Yeah,
I think that should be one of the courses that is in school constantly, is teaching that for kids to learn people, and before you can say that that's your friend or that's your boyfriend or that's who you want to be with, learn that person first. You have to learn people because people put on masquerades and facades a lot, and different scenarios will play out so that person will show their true colors.
Okay, it's just like this. Say for instance, you're on recess at school and you got these staff, these yard duty or whatever you want to call them, that manage the playground, and you know that this person in particular, if he hears you cuss, that's his pet peeve. If this other yard duty sees you touching another student, that's their pet peeve that they're going to sweat. So when somebody has their pet peeves in place and you know them, that makes you respect that person more, whether you want to say it or not, because now you're not going to cuss around the yard duty that you know is going to haul you in from recess if he catches you cussing. Now you're not going to touch other students because you know that the one that says that you're not supposed to touch students out here is going to haul your ass in from recess if he catches you doing that. So
those are both good points, but again, it goes back to self because you had to control yourself to make sure you didn't cuss around that specific yard duty.
Okay,
so
and
self-control.
I'm trying to tie that in by basically saying picture yourself as the yard duty. You're gonna have more respect because you've made it clear what you stand for.
Mm-hmm.
And in relationships, a person has to make it clear what they stand for, so a person doesn't tread against that.
What up, Miko? We got Unfaded in the building. What's happening with you?
What's up, folks?
Yeah.
He said typo.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because you missed the comment before.
Oh, okay. Here it goes.
You said, your actions might impact on someone else's life. What you know.
It's not even that they might; they most likely will. Like,
I tried to call you this morning, and you didn't answer. Hey, so you're screening my calls now, huh?
Okay, I'm gonna just put it up there because I need glasses. I'll be trying to read it from over here and I can't see it. So
exactly, Diesel. So sometimes people will make you want to change for the better, but you have to accept that and use it in all aspects.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, that's you want someone. That's another thing. That's another characteristic that you will want in a person that or someone that you're getting into a relationship. The person wants what's best for you. They want to help you achieve what's best for you. Also, that's a characteristic that should be in the person that you're trying to have a relationship with.
But that's why you have to make it clear what you are and what you stand for and what kind of person you are. Because a lot of people, just simply by knowing that, they won't try certain shit.
Well, see, and I think that's why it's so important to harness and really get a hold of our internal energy, because I really feel like that, the man and woman thing is more based on an exchange of energy than all this external shit we talking about. If your energy is aligned with a certain vibration and you meet somebody whose energy aligns with that, y'all are practically clairvoyant with each other now. Suddenly you're telepathic. All the shit that it doesn't even need to be said for you to know it. And the fact is, some of us have had interactions with people like that, encounters with people like that, but they didn't fit the criteria in physical appearance. They didn't fit the criteria in financial prowess. There's all kind of other things, that external factors that we use to talk ourselves away from the energy of the type of person that we should have been with. You understand what I'm saying?
I put that down there too. I said, monitor your energy, check the frequency. Which ones bring you static? Stay away from low vibrational conversation. And so it's just that. Who do you really vibe with? Because then it's gonna be easy to interact. What frequency are they on? Are they on the same vibe as you? Do they share the same interest as you? Those are the people. It has
to be compatible in order for you to have that harmony.
Yeah.
It doesn't necessarily have to be the same vibe. It's that the vibe is compatible with yours. The frequency is compatible with yours. You understand what I'm saying?
What do you guys feel about when you have a relationship and then you say up front, if we were to get into an argument, you have the do's and don'ts. Don't do this and don't do that. Like, don't be degrading or blaming or yelling or force, or say, well, you know what? Since you said that, I'm breaking up with you. Or, do you think you should have those set aside? I mean, those set in place so that if you guys were to argue, I already know my dude's not gonna never, or my girl's not gonna never put me out like that, because we have already got this understanding. She might disagree on something and I might disagree on something, but when it all boils down to it, they know and I know.
I think you have to discuss deal breakers immediately when you're dating.
I don't even think you discuss it. I think you need to date in a different, because we typically like to date just with the one person. At least that's been my experience. When you date, I'm dating this chick. I need to be dating with her friends, with my friends, my family, her family, and observe the interactions.
Right. I agree.
That's how you understand if a person has a tendency to speak in a degrading fashion or be inconsiderate before you ever get to the point of a relationship. We jump in too quick based solely on the feeling and, the interactions that we have. But if you're trying to learn about this person, the way they interact with the waitress at the restaurant is important also. You understand?
Right.
Like, this is how we find out. I'm not going to tell you, you do whatever you want to do, but I'm going to respond however I want to respond to it.
Right,
and that response might be holla. Ooh, ooh, ooh.
Well, the average person may have 8 dates before they have a sexual relationship with someone. Once you get a sexual relationship with someone, people's whole mindset changes. They put up with shit they really don't want to put up with because of the relations. But they say that 17% have 1 to 3 dates, and 7% have 1 week before they have relations. 15% 2 weeks before relations. 3 weeks 8%. 1 month 34%, and 6 months 19%. And
okay. Oh, go ahead.
Alfred, you lost me up. But anyway, people, they jump straight into the feeling of the relationship instead of the actual feeling of the relationship.
I think the last comment that said date equals data sums it up very well.
Mm-hmm.
What are you doing on those dates? You should be compiling data. Yeah.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's basically what you said. You give a motherfucker enough rope to hang themselves on them dates. You want to see how they interact with other people.
Right.
That's a must.
Right.
You want to see how they interact with their dog. You want to see how they interact with their parents or mothers or brothers and sisters or best friend. If she sits there and says, "Oh, hi, bestie," and "Ooh, this is my girl, this is that," and then as soon as y'all drive off in the car, she said, "I can't stand that bitch. That bitch, whoop, whoop, whoop." You already know what's happening.
Right.
Yeah, that's true.
That's what that basically means when it says observe and collect data. That type of shit.
So let them be free, but their freedom doesn't have to be your jail. That's kind of what I meant. Like, do whatever you want to do,
right? But
I'm gonna do whatever I want to do in response to that.
Right?
It does not have to be a problem either. I can do that without it being a problem.
Right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Because people don't understand a lot of times what they're doing because they could be self-absorbed. And if somebody's self-absorbed, there's nothing there's nothing that they're going to see themselves wrong in.
So I wanted to mention too, one of the other things that I had wrote down, and it was as an offer to young women, to old women, to all women. And it's something that I feel like I developed over time. It wasn't something that I always seen, but I wish it would have been explained to me sooner about the way that we dress. I know y'all gonna have a lot to say about it. So I was, because we have talked about it before, about how a woman's dress can, throw people off. And that's like, you can dress sexy. Just remember what sexy is. Sexy is a smell, a conversation. It's a smile, it's laughter, it's imagination, it's intrigue. It wants to learn more. So balance out that fine line of sexy outfits, because you don't want to throw out the wrong, get the wrong attention from people. And
how are you going to get somebody to focus on your brain if you're showing your ass?
Right. Well, it took me a long time, like I said, to get the total understanding of that, because I felt like if I look good, I can dress. It doesn't matter. I want to show myself off because I think I look good. But you just have to be mindful of the attention. You might be getting the wrong suitors because of it. So
there ain't no might.
Right.
Well,
how does that make any sense? A woman comes in here in a G-string, showing off her butt, her whole ass cheeks, twerking.
right.
How am I going to care about her degrees or what she might have or some kind of brain, something connect? Why would I think about her head at all?
Well, it's like Chris Rock said, you know, back in his comedy stand-up some time ago, and he was like, you know, women be like to be dressed all in this half-dress type shit, and like, oh, you want to talk to me like what you think I'm some kind of hoe? That would just be like if I was to go out dressed up as a police officer and somebody asked me for help or directions. You know, how you present yourself is going to dictate the response you get from people, the interactions.
That was Dave Chappelle.
Was it Dave Chappelle? I thought it was Chris Rock. Okay.
But it's a good outlook, and
Yeah.
I agree with the concept, because I had to remind myself that, again, that's why I worded it the way I did about sexy and what sexy is. Sexy isn't, oh, I want to look sexy. So sexy is your conversation. Sexy is your breath smelling good. Sexy is that perfume you have on. Sexy is leaving something to the imagination.
Absolutely.
That's where you're starting to understand men right there. That's how we think. We don't give a fuck what you wearing.
Right.
Like I said, I
typically,
wanted to make sure that I dug deep before, you know, with this conversation. I felt like I had to evaluate so many different things.
yeah, see, it's a prize if you find someone who looks past the physical and sees the mind, but then spins the block on the physical. So it's still a part of the play. However, that's not exactly what I'm looking at off the top. You know what I mean? Because even when women do dress in a certain way, and you know, other women will be like, "Oh, well, I dress like this because I see what men look at," but you don't understand the intention behind their look. Because when a woman is dressed a certain way and she's getting attention, it's not because a man thinks that she is the poster child for femininity. It lets him know that she has she's more willing to do whole shit. And men are primal when it comes to sex, and they appreciate her willingness to do whole shit, and that's the end of it.
Not
you
just
can have on a suit. You can have on a suit.
I want to say, like I said, though, there's forms of sexy. A bodysuit that shows your contours, yourself. You gonna listen. You can look sexy without having to wear a fishnet outfit with a G-string and those little things, the circles on your titties. That's like, goddamn. I mean, you're not leaving.
So trip this though.
Okay, so what's the?
Hold on.
If you have some boots, some firm-fitting jeans on.
It's my turn.
No, if you have some firm-fitting jeans on and you got some thigh-high boots on, right? You got a shirt. It's like this. You know what I mean? It's not, no, you're not seeing no cleavage. You look sexy still, is all I was going to say. Is that still sexy to me?
Let me ask you this. Do you want to be objectified by men? Yes or no?
What do you mean by that? Objectified?
Okay,
I don't want to be
on some boxers and he's showing off his print. What are you going to focus on?
So I guess what I'm getting at, so, you know,
I just said leave something to the imagination. That's all.
Here's what I'm saying.
Thinking about his brain, though.
Here's what I'm saying, though. If you want to be sexy, meaning that you want sex to come to mind when somebody looks at you, then when it comes to mind, you've achieved your goal. Like, why, if you don't want to be objectified, and this is one of the biggest complaints that women make, men objectify us. But it's also one of the biggest goals of a woman to be sexy. So why do you want your appearance to bring sex to mind if you don't want to be objectified?
And I guess you could call it that, but I'm not, to me, I'm not going to say that there's anything wrong with wanting to be sexy. I didn't say there's
nothing wrong with it. I'm saying if you don't want the result, I'm not going to go out and put a certain type of bait on the fishing pole and cast it out into the water and then be mad when it pulls a shark out when I know that this is shark bait.
Well, this
Okay,
is
so
That's
then
what I'm
where's that
getting
line then?
last
Where's the
night.
line?
I'm getting
Where's
at.
the line? So if you have on tight jeans now, that's
No. You said a bodysuit.
right. No, and that's a bodysuit is a bodysuit. It contours the body. So that's
So what it does is it's like paint over nudity. If we,
okay.
you know what I mean? It's like, here's
Okay.
what I would look like. Now I'm a walking silhouette of my nudity.
We're dancing around the point. The point
Do you
is,
understand what I'm saying? A bodysuit is a
bullshit.
walking silhouette of nudity.
The point is, a man ain't coming with no ring when a woman is displaying herself in a sexual fashion. He's never going to get to the point in his mind where he thinks wifey material.
Well, you don't want, of course, they don't want their bitch walking around looking like no hoe. But like personally, last night, this man, I didn't know him from nowhere. He says, "You make those jeans look so nice," and kept on going.
Right.
I took the compliment. He wasn't offensive. I didn't take it offensively.
Mm-hmm.
And I just had on a pair of jeans and a jacket.
There's nothing wrong or right about being sexy. Just know what you're doing. That's all.
Right.
Know what you're getting into. And if you're okay with what comes out of that, fine.
But okay, say for instance, it's summertime, and I do this myself personally. I might have a wrap on with a half top. Well, before I had a stomach, I would wear a half top. Now that I have a stomach, I don't play that shit. But it's not a lot of clothes on because it's hot. Is that offensively? Are you showing too much then, or is it cool?
Again, are you single? Are you in a relationship?
Even if you're not single,
I'm saying these are factors that come into play. Are you single? Are you in a relationship? If you're in a relationship, have you and your mate spoke about this and what is good for the two of you to avoid conflict or making somebody feel whatever? Because you have to work through that. We can't say, oh, any man that tripping off of that he's insecure. That's immaturity. Maybe his personal perspective is, for me, I don't want my woman being shown to the world like that. If that's your man's situation, then y'all got to talk about that. If you're single, then you have to talk to yourself, like your inner child. Get with hey, do you want some raggedy dude that's always trying to come poke on you? Or, like what kind of dude you want? You got to get with yourself and ask those questions, because the way you dress is going to dictate what type of attraction you get. Period. There's no way. I mean, it's the same for us. If I'm running around with funny clothes and my ass hanging out, I'm not going to attract a stand-up woman. So
just because she's dressed provocatively doesn't mean she's not a stand-up woman.
Okay, so like he just said, if I'm sagging my motherfucking pants and got my pants wrapped all around my ass, I can get the top-notch bitch still, right?
They do sometimes, but why would you want to sag your pants? Why would you want to sag your pants? You're a grown-ass motherfucker.
Listen.
Okay, so listen.
The point is this here. The principle is how you present yourself will dictate what type of response you get. So if we're talking about men, if we threw it out here that men is walking around, and their clothes ain't looking good, they got their ass hanging out, and he is tripping off of what type of women are attracted to him, we would be able to easily pinpoint what's probably the way you dress, bro. You ain't combed your hair. You got sweaters in your teeth. We could pinpoint all of that. Reasons why you're not sexy in the eyes of women, or if you are, it's a scallywag. You understand what I'm saying? So when we flip the gender, understand that the only thing we've done is flip the gender, but the principle remains the same. That's all we're saying. Just like y'all would judge a man on his clothing, we do the same to y'all. It's no different.
A woman can go out the house. I've done it with rollers in my hair, go and run into the store, and still get somebody to say, "Girl, what's up?"
Right. The benefit of being a woman.
Okay. So
quality over quantity.
I don't remember who said it. When we were having our offline conversation. It was one of y'all that said, we were talking about broke men, and I was like, define broke. And you gave all these physical descriptions of a man, right? like that you would categorize as broke. That man is not one that you would want to be involved with based on his physical appearance. And if that is an acceptable principle on the female side, then it must also be acceptable on the male side. How we call somebody's appearance unacceptable, unapproved of to us, it might look different to y'all, but the principle's the same. I don't like what you got on, so I ain't messing with you. And y'all say I don't like what you got on, so I ain't messing with you. It doesn't matter what we got on either side. We're still honoring the same principle.
And here's an example to back up his point. Women say they tripping off of niggas' shoes. Guess what niggas do? Get fresh kicks. Women say they tripping off niggas driving buckets. Guess what niggas do? Get tight cars. You get what I'm saying? We understand what the fuck y'all saying and make the motherfucking necessary adjustments. Straight up.
Okay, so is it safe to say you're saying only the caliber? This is all determined by the caliber of men. Because I'm just saying, if a woman goes into a nightclub, right, and she is dressed and she is covered, you know what I mean? She's got her little boots on and her little her fur vest. You can't see nothing, right? And all night long, every guy went to everybody but her. She did herself a favor, I guess, in the end, because you're saying, well, you know, you don't want that quality. If the mans are only looking at women that are half naked, then you done yourself a favor because. Well, I'm saying I'm a woman. I get to say this. There's been times I've went out and nobody talked to me. I know I'm not ugly. I know how to hold it.
It could have been the aura you was giving off. Nigga, okay. You ain't rich enough. Keep stepping.
Oh my God.
Look, I know you ain't coming over here with them busted ass shoes on. I know, nigga, with that nappy ass hair, you ain't coming over here.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so look, I would say, you know, I don't know. I ain't never went to a club with the intention of finding a nice woman.
You don't find them there.
Okay. So that's why you wasn't winning. You was in the wrong arena. Nobody's there for that reason.
Right. And then I wanted to
look, you created the algorithm.
The origin of the conversation was when we was talking about a man being insecure if his woman dresses a certain way, right? And here's why it matters. Because say a woman goes out with her friends to the club and she's got her booty cheeks all out and shit like that, but she's actually spoken for.
Right.
What do you think men are gonna do? Are they gonna give a fuck that she has a man?
No.
She's driving around.
He doesn't give a fuck that she has a man, obviously, though. That's what
driving around with a for sale sign on her.
Not just that. Even if you go out with your woman and she's like that, men will blatantly disrespect you.
Yeah, it's not okay.
Are you insecure because you don't want to be disrespected?
Right.
But see, this goes back to what I was saying about holla. You got to know when to cut ties, because if you gonna behave in a way that could possibly put me in a circumstance, you know, right. There's no reason why I should even be involved with you, you know? Yeah.
Well, and that's why, like I said, throughout my research over this specific topic, I gave thought to conversations we've had in the past and gave thought to my own personal. I know I don't need to dress sexy. So that's why I'm saying to women that you don't have to do that, because it is something. It's just something about you. Just remember, there's something about you that's going to attract what you want. You don't have to do that. So I
want him to receive from you, though, because
I'm offering that to women.
Hold on. What'd you say, Deez? I didn't catch that.
What are you looking for him to receive is the point, because if you're dressed sexually, how is he going to miss that out of what you're displaying? How is he? You can't expect him to say, okay, she's dressed sexually and provocatively, but damn that, I need to know what else is going on. How is he going to get to that point?
I don't know. I'm telling women that they don't need to dress only sexy to get, you don't have to do that to get somebody. That's my advice to women.
Right.
And women should know that, man. Women could come out with a fucking full robe from her neck to her ankles and still going to get men to talk to her. Women should know these things already.
I think they're aware of it, but it's about people want to feel good. When you look good, you feel good, you know, and I don't see nothing wrong with that. You know, I just think that certain versions of looking good ain't for me
Okay,
because
so
I know what it does. Like just being a man, and this is just being 100% honest, whether it be in real life, in a movie, on Instagram, whatever. There's times where, depending on what a woman's got on, I done looked at her for 3-4 seconds before I even got to the head. That's sexual interest, period.
Right.
You know, and if you're somebody who really wants an interaction with somebody that's healthy, that can grow into a relationship, I don't want that to be the first thing on my mind because I know there's an expiration date on that interest.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? Yeah.
So, to answer this question for me, this is a little bit off key. Okay, you're with your other half, and you see the opposite sex walk past you, or you see someone opposite, and they look good. Do you look, or do you not look, or how do you handle the situation?
I see everything.
Right. Well, and I think that I don't think that there's a harm in looking. I think there's a harm in addressing, or like being like, God damn, like, unless you and your teammate have that type of rapport. But I don't think that we should be having a full-fledged conversation. I'm talking, and then he said, "Look at the tail on that well." That's disrespectful. But well, I mean, I think people are gonna look. It's just natural to look
because it's like we're in a relationship. We're not blind,
right?
And it's the type of looking you do. It's like, okay, I can't never look at another woman ever because we together. Come on now, especially when I know that the data says that y'all have more brain activity. So you damn sure looking at other men. All right, come on now. Let's be fair. It's all good.
And I'm so sneaky. I'm gonna know the motherfuckers. I'm so sneaky with it that I know what the person I'm with is looking at. I'm gonna know they motherfucking type for real. Right. Oh, this is your type. I see, because I'm gonna see what's snapping your neck.
What the hell is this woman talking about?
I don't know, but we have two people who said, "Look, don't stare." So that's basically what it all sums up to. I think that.
Because when you staring, you didn't temporarily forgot that you was with somebody else. Like you forgot they was right there with you.
Right. But I want to tag on this person's comment talking about the women are creators of lust.
The women are creators of lust.
I mean, that's a stretch.
Where was that one at? I didn't.
At FRAQ.
Oh, okay. Women are creators of lust.
Men are lustful. Men are more lustful.
That's what I'm saying.
No. That's not what he's saying. That's not what he's saying, though. It's not about who is more prone to lust. He's saying that women are creators of it, and it comes down to kind of what let's face it. There are far more women who are given, like I said, the walking silhouette of their nudity than there is men doing that. Men aren't dressing in a way that women are forced to be like, damn, that's how he sculpted. Like, y'all don't even experience that. You don't even know what it's like. We deal with that every day. So it's easy to say that, no. I'm not saying it never happens. I'm saying for the overwhelming majority, men are not walking around in something that contours their body in a way that mimics nudity. Y'all don't have to deal with
that. I know, but I mean, obviously there's some men who look fine. You're not trying to make yourself your body. But some guys have tight shirts on and shit. They be smelling all
what
good.
Do you say?
I'm like,
what do you say? Okay, right. The point is, how does that affect you?
Right.
Are you worried about his brain?
And since we know there's more women that are dressed in a way that would create that emotion in men than there are men that would create it in women, I think that's a fair statement. I would have never really thought of it like that, but I think it's a fair statement.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're saying we are the creators of lust?
I'm saying, like, y'all have the power to remove it all. You know, if y'all was to just come out in turtlenecks and jumpsuits tomorrow that was, 2 sizes too big, men would be like, oh hell, where the hell did I wake up at? What's going on? What world am I living in? What is this reality that I'm stuck in? So
But it wouldn't stop.
I mean,
It wouldn't stop the
it's a
interaction,
factor.
though. It wouldn't stop the interaction.
It wouldn't, but it would decrease the amount of lustful thoughts because,
Of course it would. Yeah.
you're not being, just think about it. You sitting up watching TV and you see the Toll House cookie commercial. You wouldn't think about no damn cookies that you see in that commercial. They are the creators of your lust for cookies in that instant. So when you come across a woman, who's dressed in her little leggings and the boobies and all that, she's the Toll House for that moment.
Okay, have you ever wandered around with your shirt off? Because Sophia said men walk around with no shirts.
Okay, so now we got to say this: is a man's bare chest the same as a woman's bare chest?
No, but some men's chests look good, baby.
It's the same exact thing.
We're not saying that though.
It's the same exact thing.
And Lawan said, y'all get one season, gray sweatpants, aka winter. Y'all got all year. Laugh out loud. So
yeah, for real. Yeah.
It's the same thing if a man has his shirt off or a woman has his shirt off, because there ain't never right now. If you was to put 500 women in an auditorium and a man come out with a buff chest, because it got to look exceptionally good to get women. So we know that. We get that part. If you ain't in shape, your chest don't count. We get that. But if your ass is in shape, them bitches about to scream that roof off.
Well, here's the thing, though. I do agree with you that it is the same. What makes it different is the mystery. Like it's there's no real work that has to be done for a woman to encounter a man with no shirt on. How often do we see that in regular everyday life? You got to be watching some movie, you watching a porn, or you with a woman who took her shirt off for you. Other than that, it never happens.
For us big-breasted women who are covered up and guys are still looking like right at your titties.
We can't help that. They was looking at us first.
Yeah, see, she agrees with me. Sophia agrees with me.
Damn.
That's how I feel about it. I've seen the way women react to men's bodies, and there's no way they're gonna trick me into thinking it ain't the same shit we see when we look at titties.
No, it's for real.
It's the same.
Yeah, I'm not fooled.
I see it every day when I'm at work, and they're coming from the 24-hour fitness. The women are dressed, trying to be cute, working out, and the men are trying to be fit, working out. Look a certain way. They're trying to look good for women, and women are trying to look good for men. It's just how it is.
They could be, or they could be serious. They could be serious about sculpting their bodies, so they need to look at their own figure in the process.
Self-confidence.
Yeah.
I mean, who wants to take off their clothes in front of a mirror and not like what they see?
True.
Right.
True.
Yeah.
Well, these days people be taking off their clothes and you don't want to see what they look like, and boy, like damn, cover that shit up.
Well, if they're a man,
I couldn't be a man because
but if they're a woman, they're beautiful still.
Oh, that's so sweet to say.
Come on now, don't act like we done had this conversation about Lizzo.
We don't,
just like how you say we don't. There's times that you be like, you don't want them to take that off. This is how we be. Sometimes we don't want them to take that off. Go on, put that back on. It's on both sides of the coin.
Please don't go there.
Hey, look, like on the clubs where the grandma cornered Buddy Love.
Right. Oh,
hey, but listen. Okay, so here I got something to say. I know for a fact, and I ain't gonna say no names, but I know somebody who wore false teeth, right? And believe you me, she had a trick underneath them false teeth. So that's why Buddy Love and the grandma. That's what I know about.
Goodness.
Her taking them teeth out.
No more scraping, huh?
Hot mess, okay?
Well, that
Man,
goes
listen.
into the imagination of the other person. At that point, you know, they're like, "Hey, no teeth means."
My goodness. That's hilarious.
Yeah,
That's
we can't do
hilarious.
nothing but laugh at that.
Let's get breezed by this week, man. I don't know what happened. How the hell we had 2
Well,
hours?
let me say something. This is
Good
one
combo.
thing that you should tell yourself, advice to yourself if you're trying to date someone is don't fall in love with, let me put my glasses on and quit. Don't fall in love with someone's potential. First of all, believe people when they say, when they show who they are. Avoid being manipulated. Be vocal about social issues and take care of yourself.
I want to comment on that. You said don't fall in love with somebody's potential. So you want somebody that has no potential to grow at all no more?
No, but you can't fall in love with somebody who doesn't see their own potential is what I think, because it's good to see the potential in somebody, but they got to see the potential in themselves in order to make that part work. So I think it's okay.
So if you meet somebody, they got a landscaping company, but they're not making $20 million a year yet.
That's not what I meant.
No, and that's why I just tried to clear it up before he even went there, because I was like, it's okay to it's okay to fall in love with someone's potential, but they have to see that potential in themselves, because if not, you don't want to be with somebody saying he could do so much better, he just don't. I mean, if he don't want to,
thing if somebody doesn't have any more growth to have, if they've already reached their full potential, how are they different than the person who's never going to reach their potential? If they're not going to grow anymore, how is that better?
I don't know, but I wouldn't. I don't know what you mean.
Yeah, if somebody doesn't have. If you're saying don't fall in love with somebody's potential because they might not never make good, right? That's the when you hear that.
No, I'm just saying that they have to see the same potential in themselves. That's the only way to make
it
good.
They might not never make good, right?
They may never.
That's just like you falling for someone that is that's going to them.
You're not falling for who they are. You're falling for who you think they could be, and that means that's not a good setup. Is what I'm thinking.
Well, here's the thing.
That's not a good setup.
Because you're falling in love with who you think they could be. You gotta love somebody.
And you know that she has the potential to be a good wife, even though she's not yet a wife. How do you gauge somebody without looking at their potential?
Because I get, she's not saying without looking at their potential. If they don't see the potential themselves, that indicates what we talked about earlier, that they have not taken the time to get themselves centered. They ain't had no talk with their inner child. They're not complete within themselves, because if they were, they would see their own potential. And if they can't see something, they can't operate on that energy. That's really what it boils down to. So I agree.
I've done this myself. I've wasted time thinking, well, if I do this, maybe this motherfucker will do this. And no, the motherfucker's still not doing it. So that's falling for someone that you might think is going to do something and they don't never do it.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm talking about.
Said kinetic and potential energy. One is proven and one is stagnant. So yeah, I think I rock with that. So when I was listening to what you had said about don't fall in love with this, that, and the other, my question would be is the idea of falling in love, is that something that's natural to the human experience, or is that something that falls under what that article was talking about, ideas and behaviors that have been instilled in us through society? Like, when we think about falling in love, is it because this is what we heard about? We seen it in the movie, the storybooks, when our sisters used to play with the Ken and Barbie, like where we get this whole idea from anyway? Is that something that's natural to the human existence? Or is that an idea that we've accepted because it's been pushed on us?
I don't know, because a lot of people grow up with loving households, so they may have seen love in their homes and they might get it from there. Again, we could go through what you see around, but at the end of the day, everybody wants to be loved, and it should be natural to give love. So I think
I'm not talking about just having and giving love. I'm talking about the quote unquote in love, the romantic bliss of being in love. That's what I'm talking about. Like, what do you guys think about that? Because people chase that. Let's just face it.
Well,
People
they say
chase that.
48% of women want a romantic relationship.
no, he's talking about love. Love isn't romantic. That's different. Those are two different things. If I'm thinking, those are
No,
two
you're on point. Yeah,
Okay.
because of course it's a romantic relationship, but
right. And
are
I
the
think
two
that we
parties
have been,
in love? You know,
right.
like
I think we have been sold an idealistic version of what love is supposed to be, not what it really is.
and that's so. Lawan said people fall in love with love over the actual person, and I
Mhm.
think that's why I was
That's what
asking
he's
that
saying,
question
yeah.
because
Yeah.
people can be caught up more with the idea than the actual person. You
Right.
understand
Right.
what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I agree with that.
So do you guys think a woman should ask a man out?
Yeah, we talked about that also, and I think that they were not against it. You guys were not against women being assertive.
Yeah, I don't do that supposed to shit. Oh, the woman's supposed
Right.
to sit back
Right.
and wait, like
Yeah.
ain't no telling what it was,
Yeah.
If the
From
circumstances were more fitting for her to approach me, do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, speaking from
Yeah.
experience, I've actually been through that. So
Yeah.
I don't have no.
Of course,
It seems like
Giselle. There's no Giselle Washington without the, you know what I mean?
I'd have been approached many a time. So,
He's gone to the club with somebody else and ended up with the girl's friend.
So stupid.
I mean, I thought we weren't supposed to do
don't be
that.
airing my laundry.
Exactly. I
Hey,
thought we weren't
Jesus,
supposed to
hey,
I
do
didn't
that.
know what was going down.
Hey, real shit though. The club is not like boy. That's a dangerous game right there. Boy. Like Tavon said, it's like shark meat. It's like putting shark bait in the shark infested water.
Yeah.
Putting
Yeah,
some meat with piranhas, huh?
Yeah, I can't go into the club. It's over. It's
Yeah.
over season in that motherfucker.
I mean, we know what the overall goal is more times than not when people go to the club, well, for the men, for sure. We're
They're
not
scared
there.
hoes in your diesel.
We're not up in there like, will you be my wife? We not on none of that type energy. So like,
I'm
as soon as
glad I
women
know
walk
that.
in the door, they are basically saying they want what we came to give, and that's how we look at it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where
But-
do you recommend single people meet people then? I mean, because do you think that dating apps are a good place to meet people?
No, I mean it can be, but
I was about to say it depends,
Okay, so if we rule out the club and we rule out dating apps, what would be left for a single person?
the gym, the park, restaurants,
So
any
like, okay,
social
and that's
activity, a softball league,
get involved in something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like where you
there's
find
a lot of
like-minded
things you
people.
can do
That's good.
socially
Those
to
are good.
make
Those
yourself
are good
available.
ideas. Join a
that's-
bowling league or something, right?
Right. It's real
Go
shit.
to an art gallery.
Right. No,
It's real shit.
no, for real. Like I gotta think outside of the box.
And then somebody said at work,
Yeah.
No.
But the
Not gonna
thing about work though, the old school players is gonna tell you, don't get your honey the same place you make your money.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
Because-
Because if things don't work, then that's
She's
the
gonna get
whole
you fired.
problem right there. Yeah, that's not gonna
You're
work.
gonna lose your jab.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
because you
have to
might
lose
go
your
off on
time.
that motherfucker at work.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. So that's
there's almost certainly going to be an argument at work.
yeah.
And then they gonna get loud with you, and you be like, I know your ass ain't getting loud with me.
That's when you give them that look like, well,
Hey, look,
Yeah, I don't know
we
about
we
work.
got a whole stack of pallets fell on so and so and out for.
Told that
No,
bitch
but
get out my
I think
motherfucking face.
Diesel gave some good.
What'd you
Diesel
say?
gave some good
Ran
ideas.
over
Though.
my forklift.
What'd you
Told that
say,
bitch get
Mike?
out my
What
face.
did you say?
I said Diesel gave some good ideas as far as like joining activities. You know, and I have to remember you cannot confuse going to a club, you know, where there's an event, you know, there's actually a party, it's the club that night, versus going into a bar and sitting up at the bar and having a drink afterwards. You could actually run into somebody on happenstance in this scenario.
Right. Well, I mean, also you gotta. Is you cool with
This fool said work-wise.
I was trying to wait. I was trying to hold it because
Because LaJuan is a fool. That's why.
yeah. He with the shit.
I love that little nigga though. He's a fool.
Oh man.
That is
Ah,
It's true. It's true. They do.
Oh man. Yeah, but you gotta be open to dating yourself. And what I mean by that is like if you want to go and do something, like go by yourself and interact with the people around you. You know, can you go to the sports bar to watch the game by yourself and rep your team by yourself and eat your chicken wings and drinks by yourself? Because somebody's gonna interact with you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
you're gonna get approached at the highest rate as a woman, because when men see women with their friends and shit, he already know. I gotta pay. If it's 5 friends, that's 5 scrutiny tests I gotta go through before I can get done.
No, that's real. And sometimes the stank that's coming off your homegirl's neck is the reason why he ain't come say nothing to you. Because he like, your homegirl, she stank. You know, I don't mean that literally, but I'm saying her attitude.
Exactly. Yeah. And so even if you're not like that, if he sees your friends are bitchy or judgmental or snobbish or any of those type of things, it's gonna automatically make him think you're related to that because you're with people of that nature.
Right.
No, that's absolutely
and so
true.
they reflect something about you, even if you're not exactly like them. Their attitudes reflect something about you. You know what I mean?
Right, because you guys are friends. You guys have to have something in common, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, if you go on a date with a girl, she says, "Okay, I want to take you somewhere," and then you guys go to a clay sculpting class for the day or something, or some sort of art class or something. Would that be a turn off to you, or would that be cool?
I think that's a good idea.
The reason why I think that's a winner is because if a woman is in tune with her creative nature, that's a sign that she is in tune with her inner spirituality, because creativity comes from within. So you want to go somewhere, you didn't want to watch a movie or you want to go do something that comes from, I'm with all that, you know?
Yeah, I do. I think that's
okay. Well, what if she says, "Well, come with me till you pull it. I got to pull this part."
I'm gonna be looking at her knuckles like, damn, you pulling out parts? How many times you done scrape your knuckles? Let me see your hands, girl. Oh man. No, but I mean, sometimes that's what it is. You can't hate on somebody for what they're inclined toward. And it's not I wouldn't say it's the norm, but sometimes attractive women are grease monkeys too, so you can't hate on that. If that's what she's inclined toward, then hey, it's all good. Just get that off you before you come holler at me.
I think that's the biggest point too. Like, just because somebody's attractive doesn't mean they're flawless.
Right.
Well,
nobody is perfect, and we have to be mindful of that in our interactions with people. And you never know what somebody's going through. They might, so we should be have a certain amount of empathy for people in our interactions, not just in relationship wise, but just in overall interactions with people. You just want to be mindful of that. Right. And you got to let people be their authentic self. It might not be a match for you. That's okay.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I think one thing people need to start doing though is complimenting people more. When I do it a lot. If I see a woman is dressed nice, I'll be like, "Oh, you look so cute," or that's a cute outfit, or I like those shoes or something. Women should always do that.
Yes.
And I don't know how men will go about doing it, but men should also compliment.
We do that, but we can't walk up to a nigga and be like, "Man, your arms and chest look good."
No, not that.
Yeah, no, I don't think you should do that.
You wear them jeans, man.
Okay,
No,
yeah,
I'm not
yeah.
saying that.
Yeah.
No, but I mean,
Man,
I
them
think-
jeans fit
I
you
think-
nice, bro.
Yeah. I think women should compliment women more.
We can't do none of that. We're gonna be in a school-fledged scuffle.
But these days, you never know.
Oh man,
They might turn around and be like, "Oh,
that's
thanks."
hilarious.
Hey, look, which is still gonna lead to the scuffle.
Mhm. Yeah. But no, I agree though that it should be normalized for people to interact with each other in that way. I agree with that.
Yeah.
Forearm game is lit, my God.
Hey man, what you been doing to the calves, bro?
Yeah.
See the muscles again. Let's do something.
Yeah. Hey man, you been doing squats?
Yeah.
Let me see one of them.
That's crazy.
Damn, that nigga got ass.
That's not a compliment at that point.
Okay. We all the way on the deep end.
Exactly.
I would say, nigga, I know you just didn't say that.
Oh shit. Yeah.
Before I don't want to be the one to do it, so I won't. But I was just gonna say, and so I have to say it now because y'all gonna say, what were you gonna say? Before we do all the way tune out, we cannot go without mentioning Tyree Nichols and what happened. I think that, just as a content creators and as a podcast, we do have to mention, that was a horrific situation and send prayers to his family. And maybe we can approach that topic at some point. I feel like we have been avoiding police brutality, black on black crime, and all of that. But maybe that would be a subject that we want to try to tap on at some point as well.
Yeah, definitely shout out to the Nichols family and everything they got going on. Yeah, we sending energy their way, good energy their way.
He wasn't a bad dude at all. Like, I don't know how it got to that point to where they were doing what they did to him, because they were just holding him and beating him.
They were just
right.
I
didn't watch the video.
I didn't either.
I don't want to watch another video like that. But I want to know what do you guys think about that situation real quick?
Niggas need to ask.
Were you surprised? Were you surprised to see black cops beating a black man?
No,
I was surprised at the way they went about it.
Cops is cops, and here's the thing. This is what I said when people was like, when all this stuff was going on and it was heavy in the media about police brutality and them killing folks left and right, and everybody was talking about, oh, we gotta implement these plans to retrain. You can't train barbarism out of somebody. That's the type of people they are.
Right.
And a lot of times, this is the reason why they become police officers, is so that they have a badge. They have the free will to run around and behave like that and do this type of shit to people. You know what I mean? And so with this hold the cops accountable thing being fairly new in this country, it hasn't been impactful enough to weed out those type of characters from the police force. So white or black, Asian, whatever, if you're a cop, based on the psychological evaluations that take place for these type of individuals to come out of those psyche valves, that's what needs to be regrouped. Fuck the training. It's not the training. It's the psychological state of people that are typically police officers.
They have the power, and they want excessive power. They use their position to be that they use their position to do that. They it's all about the power.
Yeah.
You know,
What
that's
about-
all it is.
I think it
So-
stems from a lot of these cop shows that they have and these movies where cops just operate without any repercussions in the movies and on these cop shows. And this, you know, there's a big message to be said in all that. You know what I'm saying? That, you know, cop shows are raising a lot of people been raised on these cop shows, and then they go join the police force, and here they are doing the same exact shit Horatio did in the show, or the same exact shit that, you get what I'm saying? Like, to me, that shit matters.
Yeah, but I think it's so far before any of those cops. That shit been going on for like as long as we can think. You know, you could, because you can best believe. Man, I can't even think of his name right now. The one that went up against Al Capone. You could best believe him and his crew it doesn't matter the story. Elliot Ness. You best believe they was out there on some gangster shit with a badge, because that's what be happening with a lot of these police. They're legalized gangsters. If you match their conduct and behavior next to an actual gangster, there's no difference. He just got a badge on.
There's absolutely no difference at all.
Yeah.
And they're blue before they're black. You know what I mean? So
Right.
that's what they are gonna stand by. All of them they are cops before they're blacks. You know what I mean?
Real talk.
And so that's the sad part about it. I am disgusted by it. I'm also, you know, I'm looking at the fact that yes, they are swift to action to fire those guys and to do, but I don't care, because I think they all should hang. I think it's bad. I don't care if they're black or not. I think they all.
It's like, how would they feel if somebody did that to their nephew?
Right.
Right.
But
if it
here's
has to
a
be,
question.
if it has to be black people, I mean black cops that set the tone in prosecuting cops that are wrong, then
Yes.
so be it. I don't give a damn if they black.
Right.
Exactly.
That don't mean nothing to me. Yeah.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
They need to be the poster child that sets the wheels of justice in motion to hold cops accountable.
Right.
Send they black cop asses to prison.
I agree.
Mhm.
I agree. Make an example out of them. I totally agree.
Shouldn't have did this shit.
No.
Like
I
PMC says, it's been happening and it's crazy knowing that they're on camera. And they don't
Well,
go down.
well, the thing about it is the way they tried to manipulate the
I
video.
understand.
They
They
tried
had
to
the whole body scan.
manipulate that into saying, stop, you know, like he was trying, you know, so that the if it wasn't for the footage on the street light, we would have never got to see exactly how they dog walked that man.
Here's the thing. Being I mean shit, I done been involved in some altercations. So I know what it really takes to subdue somebody.
Yeah.
The way they was beating him, that was not their goal.
They were trying to kill him.
Because it's like, shit, let me and two of mine get a hold of one person and watch how fast he be in some cuffs.
Right.
They wasn't really trying to do that.
Right.
Their goal was to do exactly what they did: whoop his ass, terrorize him. You know, they weren't there to arrest him, because they could have did that on multiple occasions.
And that's what I had to think too. I was thinking like, damn, did they know him? Did he sleep with somebody's wife? Why did you? Because it was so, you know how they say some acts of violence, you can tell that they were like, they had some heartfeltness to them. That, you know,
why was they
like,
so angry at him?
They were like,
he
had the nerve to try and get away from us.
And
Are
how
we gonna
could you
teach him a
just
lesson?
be that mad? You know, and this man was in handcuffs, and you know, it was a very sad situation, and I didn't want to not mention it during this show, because the intensity that the state that the world is in right now, I feel like we have to address it at some point. We can't tiptoe around it.
No, not at all.
Lady that said too, the EMT needs to be prosecuted too, because he sat back and didn't do nothing for the man for 10 minutes. That's his job, is to take care of a motherfucker, if he's a criminal or not.
Well,
he wasn't a criminal.
How is he a criminal?
He wasn't a criminal, I'm saying.
Look, here's what I'm saying. According to the way the legal system is set up, if the police watched him blow somebody's brains out,
right,
he's still innocent until he's proven guilty. So how we're treating him like the criminal he is? Says who?
No, that's not what I meant. Once he was beat and the EMT got there, they didn't rush in to take care of him. He just sat there and looked at the man for 10 minutes before he went over there and tried to help him.
Because
They all
again,
because
these
they
people
work
don't care.
they work side by side.
because the EMT eats lunch with the goddamn police.
They
Yeah.
work side by side.
That's his partners.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
he needs to be prosecuted too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it says, also they are taught that black men are the aggressors and are the criminals. I mean, there's some truth to that because I think that black men, especially if you're outside of the law, there's a way you're supposed to interact to break the law. You know what I'm saying? There's ways to go about that, and you should never be breaking the law, or if you got a pistol, or if you know that cops like I know, and I drive around in my car, I do what I do, and things like that. And when I see cops, I'm mindful of that shit. I don't never ever ever think that, oh, this ain't gonna happen to me, or they won't pull me over and kill me over a routine traffic stop, or they won't pull me over and kill me because I don't got my seatbelt on, or you know what I'm saying? I already know that these are things that can happen in our country if you're a black man.
Well, it goes to what you're saying about if you know, not to say that this is what this man was doing, but talking about blacks being viewed as the aggressor and whatnot. If you know you riding dirty, like when I used to ride dirty, every time I got behind the wheel, it wasn't, oh shit, there's the cops. I didn't even have to look at the cops because my mindset was, because I know my vehicle ain't clean in various aspects, I always drive like the cops are behind me.
Right.
So if you out like, oh, fuck it don't matter, and then you get pulled over and it's like, oh, this cop is stereotyping. Was he, or are you a dumb shit? You know what I mean? Like, what's really going on?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, and some of the instances, that's what it be. You can't put yourself out there to attract certain attention and then play the race card. And again, I'm not saying that that's what went on in this situation.
Mhm.
I'm just responding to the comment about them viewing us in a certain light.
You
They
can't
do.
ever
Right.
say fuck the
Well, because
police.
But 9 times out of 10, though, let's keep it 100, though. 9 times out of 10, if the cops see a car, for instance, and it's got 4 black men in there, you can almost certainly.
Oh,
$1 million
99.9%. They're
There's
turning
dirt in
around.
that car. There's dirt in that car.
Well, see, and here's another thing. When I used to ride dirty, if it's only 2 of us. We're not
Yeah.
gonna roll around with 4
Yeah.
pistols and sacks of weed and do it like
Right.
you're saying. You got a sign on the car that says "Take me to jail."
Yeah, you do. And I think in growing up in Sacramento, you knew, like, I mean, the cops, they've been dirty. They have been dirty. So that's just an obvious statement. But I was thinking about it too. I was like, I don't want to take away the fact that these are cops that did this, because the week before they had that incident that I talked to you guys about, where they used that pit move maneuver and then that car flipped over. I just feel like, should we have our own police departments? Do you believe we should go back to, because police departments were put in effect to monitor the community, right? So should there be black police separate from like the state police that are put in effect? Like what's going to help? How do we?
Because
It's not going to make a difference.
It's still going to have corruption no matter what, because it's human beings. Human beings are going to do corrupt shit, period. There's no such thing as incorrupt humans.
Yeah.
So corrupt shit is going to continue to happen. But what does need to happen is black people need to start to stop operating on the underbelly of society and become lawyers, become EMTs, doctors, and all this. We're not all going to be in the NFL. We're not all going to be fucking Kevin Hart, or, we all have these grandiose type of visions of what success is. And sometimes people need to understand there's actually people that say, I want to be a fireman when I grow up, even though they know they're not going to ever be rich from doing that.
Right.
But they still say they want to do it.
Right.
I don't think
Because
that
they
exists
care.
I don't think that exists in our community, where people want to be something that doesn't make you rich. I want to help people. I want to be a cop so I can help people, because I didn't like the way the cop handled the domestic violence situation when he came to my house and my mom and dad were arguing. Or I don't like the way the firefighters did this, or the judge looked at this case, or the blah, blah, whatever it is. We as blacks want all this change, but we don't understand that we have to be involved in that shit for it to actually change.
I believe that I don't know how they would implement this, but I believe if you're going to work with the community in a job like police or firemen, lawyers, judges, there should be a certain test that shows how you would act towards this type of person, or what you would do to this type of person if you are encountered with this person, because it would show how they really feel about somebody.
Well, they're taking
those kind of tests, and that's why I'm telling you, like, they're recruiting these types of people. It's not, they're not like slipping through a bad guy slipped through the cracks. They want them to be aggressive. The good cop that's slipping through the cracks and made his way in. They're taking the test to find these fucked up people. Otherwise, how are the numbers so high?
Aggressive.
Yeah.
They want them to be aggressive.
They want them that way. Mm-hmm. And for good reason, because there are some situations where your lack of aggressiveness is going to result in a call to your wife and kids, like, hey, he ain't coming home tonight. So it's for good reason, but they got to be able to manage that to where it's like every time you jump out the car at a traffic stop, you want some, because I mean, look how they ran up on the dude, snatched him out the car. It's like, come on, man. Like, that badge don't give you the right to treat me that way. No. And if he would have responded, and a dude would have responded to that with gunfire, because let's face it, that's illegal activity they're doing. You don't have no right to just jump out the car and come snatch me out the car, and I don't even know what the hell you're doing here.
Right. Well, and that's the thing. What's the name of the song? Black-Hearted?
Yeah.
It's deep.
They need to get like the things like that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They need their asses whooped just like that.
But to comment on what you said about having our own police force or whatever, I don't think that's what's necessary. I think what's necessary is we need to police our own community on an internal, from an internal standpoint. And that's why today's conversation was really so important about who are we as men, who are we as women, and how do we get all of that internal energy in line so that we can be the best versions of ourselves and work in harmony so that we can have these family structures. Because like I say all the time, strong families make strong communities. We say Black community shit, but we're not even laying the foundation, which is family. So if we really want to see our communities progress, that's where it starts.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I agree.
Mm-hmm. But great discussion today. We was afraid of how it was gonna go. I ain't gonna say we was afraid. We had some concerns though.
Yes, we did. I think it went extremely well. I think it went extremely well. I think everybody brought something great to the table, and there's some great takeaways from this conversation. So, especially
one last question: should an older woman dress sassy?
Look, hey,
I thought we went over the whole
do. You know what I'm saying?
Do what you want to do. Just understand the dynamics of what you're doing.
Yeah.
I'm saying that for myself because I'm 52 and I still put it in. I get it in when I need to. But I don't dress like
should a Black man drive through rural Georgia bumping Fight the Power? He could do that. And then when them, Confederates come get on his helmet, it's like, yeah, you can do that.
You got a fan.
But when it happens, just embrace it,
You got a fan, son.
Be prepared for the results.
Exactly. Oh man. Yeah. But
there's a time and place for everything.
Absolutely. But yeah, again, great conversation. I'm glad we tackled this. And I just want to throw it out there in response to the original question that the show was titled, Men and Women, Who Really Are We? My answer to that is energy. Everything is energy. We are spiritual energy, and it should be our goal to align our internal energy so that when we encounter the internal energy of the feminine, we can bring that into harmony. That's how I see it.
Excellent.
As Bruce Lee used to say, we need to move like water. We need to move
Deep
like
water,
water.
my friend. he was kicking game though, you know. Yeah.
Move like water.
Yeah, but shout out to everybody in the chat who tapped in.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, we appreciate all the comments and the interaction. It just helps the conversation.
Our repeat tune in too. Thank you.
Well, yeah. Yeah. So yeah, until next week, ladies and gentlemen, we appreciate y'all. And anybody who was on here, this is something I got to get better at. I think we all need to make a mental note of this because it always slips my mind once we're live. If you tapped in, hit the like button and the share button and the subscribe button.
Yes,
it's a little late to be saying it, but you know.
No, but it's definitely.
Yeah, we only got
They
3
can still
likes.
share it.
Yeah, go to our YouTube channel and subscribe. Most definitely. Follow each of us individually as Miss My _916 on IG.
Yes, indeed. So yeah, thanks to everybody, and we'll catch y'all next week.
I'm not touching nothing. When
Just touch mute on your mic.